Hello students, let us continue our discussion on biomolecules. Our next topic is disaccharides. Monosaccharides we finished discussing, now we come to disaccharides. As the name suggests, you can understand disaccharides are those carbohydrates which upon hydrolysis produce two simpler units. So the two simpler units which are formed, they may be same, they may be different. So the example which we are taking first is sucrose. Sucrose is a disaccharide made up of glucose and fructose. So what you need to remember here is which form of glucose and which form of fructose is present in sucrose and what is the point of linkage. So sucrose is one of the most common disaccharides. As you know, we are consuming is that sugar in our day-to-day life. It's the equimolar mixture of D plus glucose and D minus fructose. Now sucrose, at what position it is attached? It is the C1 of glucose and it is the C2 of fructose which is involved in the linkage formation. And the linkage which is formed between the glucose and the fructose unit by loss of water is called glycosidic linkage. You may notice here it's written glycosidic linkage, and the point of attachment also you should know, 1 of glucose and 2 of fructose. Okay. Now since carbon 1 in glucose contains the aldehyde group and carbon 2 in fructose contains the ketonic group, so you can understand that these are the points which are behaving as the reducing group. Now since both the groups are involved in the glycosidic linkage formation, sucrose will not be a reducing sugar because its reducing groups are involved in glycosidic bond formation. So that is why it is mentioned here, sucrose is a non-reducing sugar and formed by glycosidic linkage between C1 of glucose and C1 of alpha glucose and C2 of beta fructose. Since the reducing groups of glucose and fructose are involved in glycosidic linkage, they cannot reduce Tollens reagent and Fehling solution. Now here you come across a very important definition, that is invert sugar, which I have already explained before. Sucrose itself is dextrorotatory. Okay, sucrose is dextrorotatory. That means it is capable of rotating the plane of polarized light towards right. But upon hydrolysis, it produces glucose, which has a rotation of plus 52.5, and fructose, which has a rotation of minus 92.4 degrees. So ultimately, you can see fructose is having more negative rotation than glucose with positive rotation. So finally, the mixture becomes levorotatory. As hydrolysis of changes in optical nature, that's why it is changing from dextro to levo, so we call it, the process is called inversion of sugar, and the mixture of glucose and fructose is called invert sugar. So only this much you need to know from sucrose. Okay. So then we move to the next disaccharide, that is maltose. Now maltose you must have heard. Earlier we used to get a health drink, by the name Maltova. So Maltova is to contain maltose sugar. So maltose is actually a disaccharide of glucose only. So if you hydrolyze maltose, you will get two molecules of glucose. So it is composed of two alpha D-glucose units. But at which positions? Please remember, as I said, the monomers and the positions are important. C1 of one glucose is linked to C4 of the other. So you can see C1, which contains the aldehyde group in one of the carbohydrate molecules, is involved in glycosidic linkage, but C1 of the other molecule is free because the C4 of the other is involved in glycosidic linkage formation. Therefore, maltose will be a reducing sugar. That means it will be capable of reducing Tollens reagent and Fehling solution. Then comes lactose. As you all know, lactose is present in milk. So what are the monomers in lactose? The monomers in lactose are beta D galactose and beta D glucose. Okay, the linkage between C1 of galactose and C4 of glucose. C1 of galactose and C4 of glucose. You can see the figures are there, but you need not try to memorize them. So you can understand now, since C1 of glucose is free, which is the reducing group, so lactose is also going to be a reducing sugar. So only that much you had to do. Next we move to polysaccharide. Polysaccharide, as the name suggests, you can understand, these are polymers of carbohydrates. That means they contain too many small units. The number is very big, maybe in thousands, 10,000s, like that. So the example which we need to do is, first is starch, which is the most commonly used carbohydrate in our diet. Now starch has two components. Okay, starch is a polymer of alpha D plus glucose, and it has two components, amylose and amylopectin. I think year before last the question came, a competitive study between amylose and amylopectin in the board exam. Now what is amylose and what is amylopectin? You see here, amylose and amylopectin, the short note is there, and also the comparative study is also given here. So I'm just going to the comparative study so that we can save little time. So amylose component of starch is water soluble, and that of amylopectin is water insoluble. You know that starch is a colloidal solution. All of you must have seen starch. Now, one of the tests which we do to identify presence of starch in any compound is by putting a drop of iodine. So you know that if something contains starch, after putting iodine, the color will turn to blue. So it is the amylose component of starch which gives iodine a blue color. Okay, an amylopectin component doesn't give blue color. Amylose is around 15 to 20% of starch, and remaining is amylose. Now, amylose has a more or less a linear structure, okay, where the glycosidic linkage is forming between carbon 1 of one with the carbon 4 of the other. Whereas amylopectin, in addition to the linear structure, it also has a branch. And what is the position? At which position is the branch? Please try to remember this. C1 and C6. In addition to C1, C4, it also has a branch at C1 and C6. The figures you will find in the textbook. Amylose is about 200 to 1000 glucose units together make one amylose. Whereas in amylopectin, you see the number is less. It is around 20 to 25 glucose units which form the amylopectin. So only that much you needed to do from starch. Then comes cellulose. So I think all of you know that cellulose is the main component of cell wall in plants, and that is how animal cell differ from plant cell. Animal cell doesn't have cellulose, but plant cells do have. Now what is cellulose? You can see it occurs mainly in plants and is a chief structural material for the cell wall of all plants. So it mainly present in cotton, jute and wood. Structurally, now we come to the chemical part of it. It is beta D glucose and beta D glucose units joined by beta D glycosidic linkage. So here we don't have alpha glucose, we have beta glucose. You remember what was beta glucose? Beta glucose is that glucose where we have OH forming on the left hand side in carbon 1. And the linkages are C1 and C4 of the glucose units. Then we have glycogen. Glycogen is also called animal starch. So the carbohydrates are stored in animal body as glycogen and are also known as animal starch. Now you know that whatever carbohydrate we consume in a day, we do not utilize them all. So leftover carbohydrates get deposited in the muscles in the form of glycogen. So whenever we need more energy, the enzymes will send signal, okay, and the glycogen will break down into starch and we can survive for some time even without food. So you know there are people who are fasting days after day. So how do they survive? How do they do their day-to-day activities? Because they stored glycogen which they have in their body. So what is glycogen? Glycogen and amylopectin has more or less similar structure. That means in addition to linear structure, they also have branch structure. It is present in liver, muscle and brain. When the body needs glucose, enzymes break the glycogen down to glucose. Glucose is also found in yeast and fungi. So that much only you have to do from carbohydrates. And importance of carbohydrates you can do from the you can do on your own. There is nothing to explain. Just the last line of this importance of glucose I'm telling you. 2-aldopentoses. That means those carbohydrates having 5 carbon and having aldehyde group. D-ribose and 2-deoxyribose are present in nucleic acids. Carbohydrates are found in biosystem in combination with many proteins and also with some lipids. So with this we come to the end of the first category of biomolecules, that is carbohydrates. Then we move to proteins. Now what are proteins? Okay, we'll discuss protein in the next video.